Welcome to Smart Architectural Programming, where we design smarter code together. In today's video, part of our series which are accompanying to Introduction to Java book, we're diving deeper into one of the most elegant modern Java features, records. And this is a slightly complicated topic, mind you. So we're probably going to be taking some time to digest this, right? That is an essential component. We might be going into very bare superficial aspects of the records aspect in Java here, but we need to appreciate what it does and what it is. And that's why I'm titling this video as Appreciating Java Records in Java, because you need to spend some time and get an understanding of what records in Java is. And it's a very, very important feature in a sense when you want to become competent with Java. Understanding this is going to go a long way. So without further ado, let's push forward and see exactly what this is. And the first thing we need to understand is records, why they matter and what they are. Basically, that's the important component here that you see. So as you can see here, Java has evolved a lot over the past decades. With Java 14's preview and Java 16's release, we got a new tool in our object-oriented toolkit. And remember, this records is an associated aspect to object-oriented programming, because we're covering object-oriented programming for the past couple of chapters. And that is records. When you explore records, you need to understand what they are and why they're useful, and how they help in supercharging your code and implementation using record patterns. And that is why they matter. And now let's rewind a little bit and think about how you define a simple data carrier class in Java. You have fields like constructors, getters, maybe equals function or hash code function or toStrings function. Do these functions sound familiar? They should, because as you can see in the code below, there's a lot of boilerplate code when you use these, when you use these functions. Now imagine this: if you could write all of this code in just one line, and that's where the power of records and why they're important comes in play. As you can see, let me use mark a pen here. As you can see, this is a lot of boilerplate code here, and you have to write 16 lines of code just to get these things here. But you could write all of them in a single line. And how would you do that? Using so I think we had it in the same page here. So let me use a different color to express that, like maybe red. So as you can see this on line 16 here, let me see if I can get rid of this. So as you can see in the line 16 here, public record person string name, that these 14 lines of code that you see here are basically covered in that single line public record person string, right? So that is the power of records in Java. And that's just one line. Java records handle all repetitive code for you using its ability to do that. And keep in mind, records are immutable data carriers, perfect for when your class is just meant to hold data. It doesn't waste your time. It doesn't have you write unnecessary code. It's cleaner, safer, and more expressive, and more simple in the way how you write and express code. So now let's focus on how records work under the hood, because that's the main thing. You need to understand how they work before you can jump into appreciating them. And I'm not trying to ask you, or rather I would recommend you not to jump into the implementing records immediately. You need to get some practice with the normal boilerplate at this part. But records is something to keep in your mind and develop somewhat of an understanding for. So when you get to a place where you feel comfortable with the boilerplate in Java, right, then you need to start replacing boilerplate with records. So how do records work under the hood? What happens behind the scenes? When you define a record, Java automatically does 4 things, as you can see on the screen here. It creates a canonical constructor. It uses equals function and hash code function. It creates human readable toString function using the toString function, and uses accessor methods for each field. These are final and immutable. Once created, you can't change the fields in a record, which means they are thread safe and reliable by default, unlike normal variables. So what are the advanced usage of records, which are record patterns that I talked about? So what would you mean, or what if you want to deconstruct records in a very, very smart way? like unpacking values and pattern matching, enter record patterns that can do that thing that you're talking about, right? Pattern matching and unpacking values. As you can see the code here from line 1 to 3, here instead of calling object to person and calling name a function and the age function, we deconstruct the record right in the if statement and handle all of that activity within the if statement itself, which is clean, expressive, succinct, and to the point. So record patterns are especially useful in switch statements or when working with sealed classes, making your code more readable and type safe. As you can see the code here, that's what we're doing. We're making basically showing how useful they are in switch statements and when working with classes that are sealed. So with that, let's move on to the next thing, which is things to keep in mind when using records. And keep in mind, this is something that I'm going over very, very quickly and very, very superficially because I don't want you to get stuck on records. Record is slightly nuanced to understand, but developing some appreciation for it at this point is the only thing you need. You need to understand there's something called records, and how you can superficially recognize is you use usage. I'm not asking you to do the usage right now because it's something that's going to make your learning difficult. So at this moment, just keep this in mind, just see how its syntax works, and then focus on what you can do with the basic boilerplate, because you need to get comfortable with that before you jump into records. So but another aspect to it, but even if you want to start leveraging records right now, there are a couple of caveats that you need to remember. Number one, you cannot extend other classes. Records can't extend other classes, so you can't do that when you're using records. You need to make sure that they implicitly extend, records implicitly extend java.lang.record. Fields are implicitly final in records, and it is great for DTOs, configs, and modeling data. So in conclusion, and to wrap this up, again, I didn't go into too much details with records. So you need to understand that whether you're building APIs, microservices, or just want to cleaner domain models, records can drastically simplify your Java code, and they're very, very effective in doing that. And with their record patterns, Java continues to embrace expressive modern programming techniques. Keep in mind, all of this is based on the premise that you're good in the basic boilerplate and the basic understanding of the Java systems. So this is just something to keep in mind if you see it being used somewhere, but not something you want to explicitly use at this point in your learning journey. Thanks for watching. If you found this video useful, make sure you give this video a like and a subscribe. And for more deep dives from our Introduction to Java book series, continue to look for videos on smart architectural programming. Rather, we have a playlist here with a lot of Introduction to Java videos here, which are accompanying our Introduction to Java book. Drop a comment below if you use records in your own project, or if you have any questions, we're here to help. But again, keep in mind, if you're just learning Java, don't jump into records. And with that, we're going to wrap this video up and see you in our next video. Thank you.